Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 13. And today, it's just Mike today, because there's no Matthew. And we are humbled a little bit to have on our podcast. I'm going to try this in Welsh, right? Croeso chi ddau, a diolch am ddod ar y podlediad. Anwen llongfarchadiau ar eich MBE.
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you.
So, welcome both, and Alice. Yes, welcome, Alice, because you come as a partnership, don't you?
Well, yes.
Yeah. And we got so much to talk about. Thank you. You've had a long journey down. It's taken you ages, so I do appreciate it. And we start where we always start, really. Where did it all begin? Where did bowls start for you, Arwen?
Well, it's been a long time ago now, almost 40 years ago, but and further back really. Started with apparently going down in the pram with my mum. Mum started playing bowls at Lampeter Bowling Club, and then I was going down very young, but really about 40 years ago when I was 13, it started to play myself, because obviously involved in other sports as everybody in school, hockey and netball. And same as it is still now, really seen as a game for old men, isn't it? So but anyway, started playing and then got selected when I was 15 to play for the under-25 Welsh team, and never looked back really since then. So played for 10 years for the junior side, and then won the Welsh under-25 singles on my last attempt. After trying many times, on my last attempt managed to win it, and then went on to the British Isles and managed to win, struggled to be honest, to win the semi-final against an Irish girl, and then went on to play in the final against a girl from Scotland and won that 21-0 after 8 ends, so that was quite a scalp. And then from there, literally haven't looked back, got selected for Manchester Commonwealth Games in 2002, played pairs with Joanna Wheel from Prestine, and we managed to get a bronze medal. And then obviously played in many Commonwealth Games, Atlantic Championships, World Championships, and for the senior team until 2022 when I decided to retire at top level.
I've done a bit of research, and the list goes on and on and on. And I did a little bit. Born in Carmarthen, Margaret Anwen.
I know.
You don't do the Margaret, you dropped the...
No, I think it's an old Welsh tradition to put, that name first, but Alice has got the same name as well.
She didn't do that. After they did it to her, she did it to you, did she?
Yeah, I know. It's been called up the Bowls Green a couple of times, especially once the boys find out that it's, I get mags a lot up the green, so yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but Margaret, it seems kind of an old-fashioned name, but it goes through our family on both sides, my husband's side and... my side as well, but I wanted to call Alice Marged, which is Margaret in Welsh, but my husband wasn't very keen on that, and we were worried that she'd be called Margate maybe instead, so
no offence to Margate.
No.
Who was the influence on you then with the bowls? Was it? And I read a little bit. Was it your mum?
Oh, mum, definitely. Yeah, mum. Mum's played for Wales. Mum has been bowls through and through. Really, she's played at top level, and she's fierce. She's an absolutely amazing lady. She's obviously I'm very close to mum. Like the relationship I've got with Alice. We're a very close family. I've played for many years with mum. in county and Welsh. Competitions as pairs and triples and that before Alice came along. But mum, she just gets you to play at your best. I don't know what she does, but she just installs this. She scares you almost, because once
she finished now, no playing.
Yeah, she doesn't play now, but she still has a huge influence on our game, isn't she? Because if mum's kind of walks through the gate just in the club in Lampeter. People go, Nita's here. Come on, we've got to, knuckle down, play well. She's just got this. And even we won I say this story, and mum's probably fed up with me here and saying this story, but we both won the Welsh pairs a few years ago now, the first one we won it. And we came off Absolutely, well, you can imagine, ecstatic winning the Welsh pairs. And she came off and said, what happened on end 13? Because we dropped to 3. And I'm thinking, Mum, we've just won oh, yes, I know, I'm happy. But, you could have, you dropped a count then and could have, lost it. But I'm thinking, oh, crikey,
Isn't it great to have somebody, I don't know, how old is she now?
She's nearing 80.
80? And she's still competitive, more competitive than lots of people.
Yeah, she doesn't play now, but she's coached. There's many of us being as Welsh internationals, ladies in the club, there's only Alice now, but there has been many. And, Mum has got a lot to do with that, really. And, just the success of Lampeter Bowling Club, she's been a member there for 50 years now. And she's coached, members from other clubs as well. She's an advanced coach like I am now, but, I'm trying to follow the footsteps of her, what she does, and inspired, she's inspired me definitely, as I'm sure Alice, but always, she always just wants you to give the utmost best, even if you're playing at your best. It's not good enough.
There's no such thing as a friendly match, I suppose, with Mum, isn't
there? No. And that's what I've always been. She's kept our feet on the ground as well, whatever you win. And that's always been my motto through, people say, how can you play bowls for so many years at the top level and compete? But I've always said, you can win a championship, a medal, whatever, but I can go out and lose to anybody tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be, I've always say you can just be as good as your next game.
Yeah.
And that's what I am. That's how I've always, and, my both feet have been on the ground, and she's kept me on my feet on the ground, I think, as well.
One last question for you, really, before we go to poor Alice sitting there waiting.
Yeah, carry on.
Always been Lampeter?
Yes.
Lampeter's where you've been from day one to still,
Always been Lampeter, and but we're celebrating our centenary year in the club this year as well. So club chairman, I'm Lampeter through and through. Yeah.
Like a stick of rock, I suppose, is
it? Well, maybe.
Okay, Alice, how did it start for you then?
Yeah, I guess...
Down in the pram?
Yeah, similar beginnings, I guess. Down in the pram, there's a couple of photos of me being fed under the tables at the, down the bowls club when I was younger. And
under the table?
Yeah,
Nothing's changed then?
No, same things going on. But, I didn't really take to bowls until a little bit later. Harry, my brother, kind of took to it. He's one of those kind of, one of the youngsters that kind of took it on and was keen to play, but... Oh no, I kind of rolled my eyes at the whole thing, and wasn't really keen for it. I think
not a girl sport, was it? With that?
No, I think I played a lot of hockey. I played county hockey. That took up a lot of my time, and I just thought, why would I bother with bowls? So I wasn't. I did play a little bit. Probably, if there was like a friendly on, I'd kind of be pushed in. Oh, you better find some white trousers and get a top for you and play. And I would but I don't think I had that hunger for it until I think it was 2014 when Mum was at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and I think it's still the case for maybe a lot of young girls, as you've got to see other young women playing it for you to kind of be like, oh, like maybe that is kind of for me. And I think after that Games, I went in and played the under-25 pairs with Mel Thomas, who played at our club, and kind of went on. I think that year they changed the junior internationals for the women. They did an actual Super 10 because the Irish girls couldn't get a full team. They did like a team of 10. And I kind of got roped into a trial, and I trialled well and got to go to that and never looked back, really. Had that taste of playing in a Welsh shirt. I was just fortunate that in that time that they had changed it and they were looking for more Welsh girls. Not saying that they were desperate for the players, but there wasn't many of us at that time, not like, that there is at the minute. And I was kind of grabbed, and I got that chance to play in a Welsh shirt. And then all of a sudden could see these girls from, England, Ireland, Scotland, playing at that level. And then I think from then I just didn't look back. Went on and we played in the first under-18 test match that was held in Wootton Bassett, us against England. I think it was a team of 5 girls and 5 boys. And then from there just kind of carried on and taste of winning.
And what age was that then?
How old would I have been? 2014. What's that? 12 years ago. Like kind of 50?
Yeah, 16.
Giving up your age.
Yeah.
You don't want to give up your age.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit later than some people, do start. I wasn't the kind of, the little cutie kind of playing, bowls like really little with like double noughts or anything. I was much later.
So as siblings, it's just you and Harry, yes?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And obviously I know Harry because Harry's a police officer and plays with me in the Welsh Police, and we just come back from the Welsh Police Championships. We missed him. Oh. We come second. Very close. We're getting closer. We could really do with him next year. Shout out, Harry, if you're listening. You better listen. But I know from Harry and reading stuff, and we've only not long really met, have we? We've spoke a few times, and I do get that feeling from you. You're a very close-knit family. Yeah, you're a very, very close family. Did you find any pressure? Because Mum was so renowned, I suppose. What you call your grandmother, Mam Gie?
Yeah, Mam Gie.
Mam Gie was renowned. Did you find any pressure?
I didn't feel it, I don't think, early on, because I genuinely wasn't pushed. Like I say, I didn't start playing. Harry was playing. I wasn't playing. I genuinely wasn't pushed to play at all. And I think maybe because of that, I kind of gave in and went, oh, go on then. If you're not going to ask me, I'll kind of come along. Yeah. But no, I wouldn't say that. I would say a couple of times maybe I kind of wished the name on my back was maybe a Jones or a Williams rather than people, picking up the button.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes that was a little bit daunting, kind of, playing like a series at Bridgend and stuff and having people talk to me and not knowing who they were in that sense. But, a lot of pride for the name. There aren't many buttons anyway. No. So, it's one of those names that, does kind of carry itself anyway. But yeah, I mean, over the years, I've kind of learned to love that and kind of be able to talk about Mum and what she's done. I think, it's a massive honour for me and for everybody in the family. So,
it is, yeah. And we'll go on to the recent announcement that with the MBE in a while. But so, all playing in Lampeter. The only person we haven't spoken about is your husband. Does he play?
I'm glad you mentioned him. He'd be upset if you didn't mention him.
Does he play?
Yeah, he's actually a very, very good bowler. But really only plays kind of at club level just because of the nature of his work. So he's a marine pilot, so is away a lot with work, and so can't really commit every week to league and that. But honestly, he's very, very good, and if time allowed, I'm sure he'd have been a good bowler. But then we've all been bowling, and he's had to look after the kids and etc. So really, there was only one of us to. Well,
there's a fantastic rink there, isn't it? Let's be honest. If we had to have that rink now, who would lead? Who would play second? Who would play third? And who would skip? Who do you think then?
At this current point, I'd probably lead, because I've been leading more this year than I've ever done.
Okay.
Probably Dad second, maybe, isn't it?
Keep you and Dad on the same end.
Yeah, probably second, and then I don't know. Harry would want to skip for sure.
Yeah, Harry would think, but I'd probably just let him, just so that his ego can be up there, and we can kind of keep control of him. But we've played mixed pairs. We've played the national mixed pairs against each other once at Lampeter, and it was Dad leading and you skipping against me leading and Harry skipping, and I think it came down to an extra end, or it was very close anyway. And by the end of it, it was...
Mum won, did she?
Yes, they did. But there was some very sarky remarks, and I don't think we spoke to each other straight after the game, because we were all so competitive. And it was a great game, and I think any of us could have won, but it went their way that time. So,
but I think out of all of us, Harry is probably the most competitive. I think, Although when he was young, he was always, Mum, come and practice. When Alice wasn't kind of interested to play, he was always, and that's kind of something I said to Alice kind of years ago. I said, when she wasn't sure whether to play, and then, you made the decision to play, I said, if you're playing, you're going to have to practice. You're not just kind of rocking up and thinking you're good enough to play. I'm not having any of that. You're going to have to practice, and that's the end of it. Whereas Harry would always kind of nag to go and practice, come on, let's go down for a roll up, that kind of thing. But now he can get away with it. He is, not kind of blowing him up because he's my son, but, he does play really well without practicing now, which is really annoying. Because he can just, he's not really playing, competitive much this year now. He's gone too old to play in the under-25 Welsh team. And because the nature of his work again, he finds it really hard to commit. But he played against us in a tournament in Lampeter the other
Yeah.
day, didn't he? And just, you could see as the day went on, he was just playing better and better, which, fair play to him. He's,
Yeah. So
he's quite
your
good.
husband's name, let me get it right. What is your
Tim.
husband? Is he from Lampeter as well?
No, so originally from England, but had been
Gee
in...
whiz,
Oh,
the size coming into Lampeter.
But he's,
Oh my God! Can you
No.
imagine that? Can you imagine Mum bringing him home the first time for tea with your mum here? Huh? I bet he had the 10th degree, never mind the 3rd degree.
No, he's been in Wales since he was 6, so
Oh,
he's
right, okay.
he's
Oh,
Welsh.
right,
He
okay.
counts himself as Welsh, and he's Welsh through and through now, bless him. But yeah,
So Lampeter, not a big town, is it?
no.
You know, Royal Lampeter Bowls Club, I suppose, now they'd be called these days now, isn't it? Royal Lampeter. And we had the pleasure a couple of years ago, because we managed to get through in the Carruthers out from Begem Municipal, and we come up and played Lampeter,
Yes.
and we had a great time. We brought a full bus up there, and they still asking to go back for a friendly, because we had a really, really good laugh up there. So, But Welsh, predominant language for you as a family, or English?
Welsh is first language, yeah, speak Welsh at home. Obviously, Tim, is first language is English, but he can speak Welsh as well. Just not probably confident enough to speak to everybody, but, you know, he can speak Welsh as well. But no, first language through and through. That's what I speak most of the time in work as well, down the bowling green. Yeah, it's Welsh.
And we'll come to work in a bit as well, because I know I think the work you do is, you know, tremendous, and we want to go down there in a second. But the Welsh language for you is obviously very important, and therefore the Eisteddfod is huge for you. And you are now have I got a blue robe bardd? Is it bardd?
Yes, it's a bard at the Eisteddfod.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very honoured really to have that recognition, and it was quite a surreal day really, wasn't it? It was meant to be in Tregaron, Eisteddfod, back the same year as the Birmingham Commonwealth Games. Well, it was meant to be before that, 22 because of the COVID, and then so it happened to be then exactly the same time when it was rearranged, Tregaron Eisteddfod at Birmingham Commonwealth Games the same time. It would have been brilliant to have it in Tregaron, because that's where my dad is from. You know, it's literally, 8-9 miles up the road from us.
Yeah.
It would have been perfect, but, you know, couldn't do both. So so it was 2 years ago up in North Wales, and it was a brilliant day, very surreal day. But yeah, it was very special for family and friends, and some of my work colleagues came as well. So it
Lovely.
was, but no, it was
And
very
people,
special.
unless you are, I suppose, really into Welsh language, people don't understand how important the Eisteddfod is to Welsh-speaking Welsh people, and a lot of non-Welsh speaking Welsh people as well. You
A
know?
lot of people thought I was joining some weird cult. Some people thought I was doing an advert for Blue Nun wine. So I had lots of funny comments. But no, for us as Welsh, you know, we've competed. You know, it might sound a bit strange for some people, but, you know, the kids have, competed in reciting and with the choirs and various things, you know, over the years, isn't it? And we've gone to the Eisteddfod as part of our culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that we've gone all over Wales to the Urdd Eisteddfod and the National Eisteddfod. So for us, it's kind of massive, you know, for massive, and you know, for my family, for my parents, you know, it is kind of huge. You know?
Again, it's one of those another proud days for the whole family when you were obviously
definitely.
given the blue robe. And
Yeah, it was huge.
lovely. So we wanted to talk about that a little bit, and what up. So Commonwealth Games. How many have you been to?
6.
6.
Yeah.
Got a favourite?
Obviously the first one in Manchester was pretty special, you know, and managed to win a medal there as well. They've all been different, and, you know, different stories to say about all of them, but I think my absolute favourite was Delhi in India in 2010.
Right.
It was quite hard before going to that one, because my father-in-law died literally kind of weeks before that. So for us as a family, it was quite emotional. The kids were quite young, so that was quite hard. And we didn't know if we were going to actually go into Delhi, because there was a lot of issues with safety, cleanliness, you know, various worries, I guess, whether Team Wales were going to go. So we literally only knew kind of days before that we were actually flying out there. So when I got out there, I just felt exhausted, to be honest, because we'd have so much things going on within the family. And then kind of felt quite unwell initially when we arrived out there because of the heat and just
not
adapting.
the Delhi belly, though.
No. Some of the others did experience that, but not me, thank God. But it was just like kind of just the whole exhaustion, the whole buzz, you kind of, the whole preparation, you're there thinking, oh my God, I'm not feeling kind of completely top form. But anyway, sorted myself out, and it was playing on artificial surface as well.
Right.
But the whole thing was strange, really. The village was brilliant, although there were so many worries and fears about it. But it was just getting used, we had, the army were there with kind of, guns and whatever on the bus. So we were going back to the bowls, there was like army on each turret around the bowling. It was all very surreal, but brilliant, the whole atmosphere. And winning a bronze medal there, and beating Australia, to win that bronze medal was absolutely fantastic, So that was probably my favourite one, if I had any, just because of the whole experience, how I was, how I adapted, how I managed to kind of perform. So the whole journey on that one for me was just extra special.
Okay, so we've got Manchester, we've got Delhi, we've got
Melbourne in between them.
Melbourne in between there.
Yeah.
Where else?
There was Glasgow. And Birmingham, and then the Gold Coast.
Yeah. Oh, you've had a couple of trips.
A couple, yeah.
Manchester, Glasgow, that.
People in work say I just go on holiday.
I'm going to come back to, we'll do it now. 22. Was it 22 was in Glasgow? Birmingham. Not only did you play for Wales in the Bowls, you were captain of the whole Commonwealth Welsh team. Mm-hmm. Huge privilege.
Yeah, massive.
Yeah, but it's up there with when you start talking now, when you get as old as your mum and you're talking to all these youngsters about what you've done, it'll be just, and even now it must be thinking, young girl from Lampeter, to achieve what you've achieved in the sport and in your work, which we're going to come to, must be huge. Must be so proud, and you must be so proud of your mum as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me when, we were just as a squad down in the Celtic Manor collecting our kit, and Nicola Phillips, who's the chef de mission, just said to me, Anwen, can I have a word? And I knew her from previous Commonwealth games. She was a physio and that previously as well. And she said then to Hazel, our team manager, can I have a word as well? So it was totally informal. And she just said, we've had a meeting and we want, to ask you to be the captain of the whole team. 202 athletes, and to have me, as you say, somebody from Lampeter, and somebody that what I couldn't get over more than anything was somebody from bowls, because bowls isn't seen as the kind of sexy sport kind of thing, So for them, out of all the sports, to pick somebody from bowls, that was more to me than anything. I just could not believe it. Totally overwhelmed, and me from bowls as well. I don't see it. I've just done something I absolutely love doing, and I feel that I've been, I always people say, you shouldn't really say lucky because you make your own kind of luck and whatever, but I do feel, quite honoured, quite humbled that I've gone to, played with so many great bowlers, to be this successful. It's not just about me, it's the people around me as well who has supported, my family. It's not just me. Yes, okay, you've got to perform and you've got to be consistently performing. I understand that, but yeah, it was huge. It was, and the other thing you've referred to the Welsh language. I was so proud I could speak on behalf of the team in Welsh as well. Doing interviews on Radio Cymru, newyddion, those kind of things, not just in English, and that's huge to me. Forget
all that now. You're on Bowls Breakdown podcast, the biggest of them all now. What are you laughing at over there?
Yeah, but it's huge. It's not just I don't see it as me. Yes, okay. I've been on. And I think this past week, we've reflected so much on my journey in bowls, and but I don't forget who's around me and who's kind of, it's not just me, in everything, every award, every accolade I have, I genuinely, believe that.
There.
100%.
Okay. Alice Bach, let's go back to you.
It's all right, you two carry on, I'm enjoying it.
No. So, international under 18s, under 25s.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking now because we're on a Sunday afternoon, 22nd, I think on my scoreboard it says.
Yes.
22nd of June. Next week, is that your first full?
No, I've been doing the seniors since 20... 2016.
I thought you would. How old are you then?
Yeah. Oh,
I'm meant to ask that.
Don't lie. Lie then. Don't tell me the truth. Just lie.
No, I'm 27 now.
Are you?
So yeah.
So when did you? How old were you when you played senior bowls then for Wales?
I just about 18. I don't know. I think we've had the conversation. I think we've discussed it before. I'm not sure if I maybe was one of the youngest. Kind of the way that it, fell. I was one of the youngest that had a full cap when it was still the full 6 ringers. So yeah, I can't remember where we were. Was it in Belmont? In Ireland, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite a couple of years ago now. So yeah, managed to hold on to my shirt, and yeah, looking forward to this week.
Yeah, this week's going to be big, and we're going to come on to that in a bit. But so your favourite playing under 18s, under 25s, or full internationals? What's your memories of all three of them? What sort of memories have you got?
I think I don't know. Under 25s is special. I think under 18 you are like a rabbit in headlights, and especially when we did the under 18 and the one at Wootton Bassett, I think it was 2015 that was. Like I say, it was 5 girls, 5 boys from England and Wales. And that was, well, I don't think none of us knew what to expect, and we were playing the English, and it was all kind of a bit of a whirlwind. But under 25, I think under 25 is just special. I mean, I know it's kind of one of those things. It's got a clock on it. You've only got so much time to do it. I think when people kind of don't do it, or no, I'm not going to do it this year because I'm going to go on holiday. I just think, oh God, I missed out on I think a series because of the COVID. So I think I just managed to sneak like a last one in just after it. But under 25, there's something kind of special about being in that zone where you've got girls that are maybe new to the scene, and then girls that have been there for 10 plus years. You've got such a mix of like experience and a mix of expectation, maybe. Some people not sure what to expect. But yeah, under 25, I think one of my favourites though, I don't class myself as an indoor bowler, but one of my favourites is actually an indoor series. I got convinced to go and play an indoor series, and it was up in Newcastle at West Endon.
Right.
And for some reason, the girls that were there, it was just from start to finish. We had Roger Harvey there as manager, and it was just brilliant. I was dreading it before going because we had to go on a bus from South Wales, and it already took me like 2 hours to get to South Wales. And then this bus that took us up, and it was just from start to finish. I mean, we didn't win, but we got some great results. I think we won all the games on our rink, and just the kind of way we were playing and the trust we had in my rink, like the trust we had in each other, just to kind of have fun and kind of, be brave with shots. And yeah, that was probably one of my favourites, West Endon, a couple of years ago.
And you're probably in a better position than your mum to talk about the next bit is the amount of girls that were playing, and you touched on it earlier, the amount of girls that were playing when you started. There weren't many, were there?
No.
And now there's a load of girls playing, isn't there?
Yeah.
And it's getting better. That's what I'm trying to say. They're getting younger, they're starting and they're playing the sport, and that's only going to be healthy for the sport. It's going to take another 5 years, I think. And we put a podcast out the other day with Megan Jones and Mark on, and we talked to Megan, and her view was that it's got better all the time. This team spirit is getting better. Everything is gelling together. And these young ones now, because they're coming through, we know that you're involved with the management, with the coaching, the under 18s. The series is coming up towards the end of the year, and I can't forget her name. Nancy Manette is a travelling reserve, and she's 10. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. And there have been girls who've been that sort of age. I don't know, you probably a bit older because you pushed bulbs away from her, everything. But, we could talk about Lauren Gowan, I think was quite young when she played. There's a few others who were young when they started playing. And it's really exciting.
But I don't think the age actually matters, does it? If you're the best, you're the best.
That's
at that,
right.
At that stage, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If you're the best this year, then you should be in,
that's right.
the team, isn't it?
Yeah.
So everybody deserves a chance, and I don't think it matters if people can cope with kind of playing with others, all of that, caboodle kind of thing. It's fine. Age is irrelevant.
No, but for the girls' game, it is really, really healthy, the amount of girls who have now started to play, and that's going to only build for the under 18s, under 25s, and in 10 years' time, when them young girls now become young women, it's going to be phenomenal.
I think a lot of it is down to the academies that yourself and Chris and I know Terry Layton, there's a couple of guys there that are introducing that. And I mean, I didn't have that when I was younger. I didn't know anybody else that was kind of, under 15 really, that had those academies. And I think, some people might kind of roll their eyes and think, I'm not traipsing a 12-year-old to do some drills and then blah blah blah. But it's brilliant, and for them to see other people that age, doesn't matter what they get out of it, even if it's just talking to other people, even if it's not that they're going to ping every bowl on the jack. It's just about kind of being in that bowls culture, that kind of, getting to know people, seeing people, how people are acting. You've got some of the boys from down south who are very rowdy, compared to maybe, quieter girls that come in kind of from the west and thinking, oh God, what am I doing here? Yeah. But all of it's not just about on the green, it's kind of making those connections and stuff off the green. I mean, it's a massive opportunity.
I think it's about benchmarking as well. If you're, don't matter if you're 10 or 15 or 25, but you're just going to the academy, like you've got them in Bridgend. I know you've got lots of youngsters in Bridgend, which is massive and feeding our academy as well at the Welsh level. But they just come into those days, as you say, there's some drills, but we're having game format and that afterwards. But it's having that communication with others, but seeing actually, I'm bowling as well as they are. Or, right, by the next session, I'm going to put some work in and actually get to play as well as that, that's the huge thing, I think, isn't it? The whole mixture, like you're saying. But, I encourage anybody to come, to the academies. It's a brilliant environment to be a part of, and the fun that the kids have, and you can see, they're just growing in confidence together and that, so it is brilliant, boys and girls. It's amazing.
And you've had 2 academies already, and I know there's another one now coming up in Cardiff in July, isn't it? I think we sent 13 to the last academy. We got a young academy ourselves of 19. The one key thing you said earlier on is what you expected from your daughter. You can't just go and think you're going to be good without the practice.
No.
And there's going to be players who is going to miss out on selection at the national level, and they're going to be disappointed. The key in that is how they bounce back off that. Yeah? Do you want to get better? Do you want to prove your point? And that's what you've got to do. Yeah, and that's what it's key about.
And as you've said, it's harder now to get into these squads. 2 years ago, with the under-18 squad, I was kind of scrambling, to be honest, to get the 6th girl into that squad. We needed 6. We had 5 and scrambling. And managed to get Cara Dunn from Llandrindod in. And now you see the player Cara Dunn has become just in 2 years, and I know with Fionn in Llandrindod, the work they put in there, and they're playing loads and that, and you can see how much, Cara and Fionn have developed, just one example that is. So it is huge, but it's harder to get into all the squads now, as you've already alluded to, and like the senior squad, is much, it's a very difficult task for the selectors now, just to choose 16 for these squads is huge, and nobody can rest on their laurels anymore. You've got to turn up to the trial days, to play and play well. You've got to perform. You can't just turn up anymore and think, I've been in this team for years and I'm going to get back in the team. It's not like that anymore at any level, junior, any level at all.
I think it's healthy. I think it's really healthy. I think, but it's what it's doing is the bowls scene in Wales is getting more competitive, and that's what it's about. Now we're talking about young girls and playing bowls and on that topic. You obviously recently did a roadshow on menopause for young girls. What was that initiated? How was that started? It wasn't a
roadshow. It's something I've been kind of wanting to kind of raise the profile of for years, I guess. Even when I was playing and that, it's hugely important. And I went to a She Thrives Sport Wales put an educational day on in Cardiff a few months ago, and I went to that, and it kind of has given me the stepping stone, I guess, now to be able to kind of start the conversations. And that's what I've done with the senior team, because I didn't really know where to start, and where to kind of start these conversations. So I have started the conversations, and it's surrounding the menstrual cycle, periods and menopause, and how these affect performances. Because in every sport, it does affect, girls and women. So what I want to do really is to kind of just raise the profile of that, because it's huge impact. Just a few weeks ago we had a Welsh pairs competition on in Llandrindod, and there was one girl they had to pull out, the team had to pull out because the girl was really unwell because of period pains. but we need to look at how these things, because they're hormonal changes, how they actually affect all of us individually. So if it's kind of people have stomach cramps or need to eat snacks or whatever, eat more often during games, if I can just do 1%, to increase one person's kind of performance by 1%, that would be great. So it's also about kind of menopause. People kind of, I'm kind of at that age now where, your lack of sleep, having sweats, having brain fog, all of this, but then you're expected to go on the green and kind of perform at kind of the highest level.
Yeah.
So these are things I'm going to have conversations over the coming months and years with the under-18s, with the under-25s, with the senior squads, and hopefully getting all the message out across the kind of bowling kind of family.
What can clubs do then? So, in our club, we got a huge women's group.
Yeah.
We got young girls playing in the academy now, at 10 and 11. We got a little Leah who's 8 now. She's playing. Where can clubs go to get advice on this?
So there's a lot of information on the website, on the Sport Wales websites, and if you just Google kind of menstrual cycle and that, there's a lot of information out there. But hopefully with me kind of spreading this across the senior squad and kind of getting that fed through, hopefully over the next months, years, we can get that down, through the clubs as well. I think it's just talking about it. It's always been a taboo subject, I've experienced, heavy periods and you're playing bowls, you're kind of on the green for 3 hours, you need to go to the toilet to kind of sort yourself out, but you're thinking, well, I can't go now. But if you tell somebody in your team, or, I've got a really bad stomach, on my period, they're going to say, oh, that's just nonsense, or whatever, because it's not spoken about. But I wouldn't have dreamt to even say it though,
Well, you never would have said it.
No.
40 years ago.
No. So it's about, kind of giving supplies. There's been many people that, have started the period doing in a game or whatever, and you think, oh, crikey, I haven't got, what I need, the sanitary kind of material, as well. So they've gone to the toilet and, not had things. So it's about clubs put in kind of, sanitary towels and that, and Tampax and stuff in the kind of, but it's just raising the whole profile of it. But for people to look at themselves kind of over it's not just going to happen overnight. They need to look at their kind of period cycles over kind of 3 months and think, right, how is my body? We're all individuals, so we need to listen to our bodies and kind of work with our bodies to see how that helps your performance. So those are the important things. But also a part of that is kind of what we wear. So, and many people may be listening with, oh, crikey, here we go. But, getting rid of the whites, that's a massive thing.
Us as a
ditching
club,
the whites.
we have just done that very thing because of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's just, for me, that's just common sense. Yeah, that's just a bit of personal dignity, really, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And it's not just about periods. It's about, people that have got continent or bladder issues as well. If they're wearing kind of, bigger kind of sanitary pads or whatever, then, they show, I don't care who says, but you can see them through white trousers, where if people are wearing kind of darker clothing, they're not so visible. So it's all that, as you say, dignity, people to be comfortable, because if you're not comfortable in the kit you're wearing, then you're not going to perform as well. So if we can just do these little percentages to help with performance, so that's something I'm really going to push for. It's quite sad that some of the, I know a lot of people think, oh, whites are smart and all of this thing, but we just need to definitely move away from that. But people have to kind of empathise with people that are on heavy periods, that are incontinent, all these issues. So I really strongly believe that we need to get, away from the whites. I don't know what you think on it.
100%. I can't stand wearing whites. And I think as well from, well, not just a women's perspective, but the accessibility of, if you've got like a new bowler coming down the club, the accessibility of being like, oh, you need to go out and buy some whites. Where do you start? I mean, hopefully they'll have something that's like catered for tennis or cricket, down the sports shop. But, something like black is so accessible. Everybody's got, a pair of black trousers, pair of black shorts, and a lot of, white shorts. I mean, still now, I mean, I know it's more accessible, but a lot of them are made to men's fits, and maybe a lot of people don't think about things like that. But if you are a little bit, curvier, or, you're wearing those men's shorts and you're bending down or whatever, and you think, oh, these are the ones I could get hold of, and unfortunately they just don't fit properly.
We started, and Amanda started bowls, and he needed white trousers, but they're just too short on the back. Women and men are built differently, and that's just the way it is. But we want to talk about that a little bit. So there's something for clubs out there to think about.
Yeah,
Just have a little
just
think
start
about
the
that.
conversations, that's all, you know.
Yeah. And that's really good. Some really good stuff there. And I'll certainly take it back to the club about certainly having stuff in the ladies' toilets. That thing. And certainly when we got young girls were starting now, it's important. Okay, so doing a bit more research on yourself. Aero.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you worked with aero balls.
Yeah.
And they put a lovely thing. Congratulations to Anwen Butten awarded the MBE in the King's birthday honours. Huh? I don't think it's his first honours though, is it? Did he have one over
the New Year's?
That was his first. So not bad, don't it? Not bad. I bet Mum said I remember the King back in when the. And they went on to see the medals with the Atlantic Championship, World Bowls, Hong Kong Classic, and the Commonwealth Games. You've been about a bit, haven't you?
Just a bit, yeah.
Little girl from Lampeter.
Been a proud ambassador with Aero as well. Been with them, as you say, for many years now, and very fortunate, to use all their bowls. Have played outdoor with Sonic for many years, and then I've played with Revolution, didn't I, for years, and now I've gone to the Grooves, and quite pleased. Aero have supplied me with the bowls this year with the Actuality logo on them. So I've got the logo of the club emblem, our emblem is a bridge over the river and that, and they had the club colours as well. So very proud to be playing with them.
Through and through,
I know.
So I've got to wonder, do you play with aero bowls? Are they the cast-offs from Mum?
Well, indoor, I've got the cast-offs. I have been playing with the cast-offs. Yeah, indoor playing with quantums, but outdoor I've always been Taylor race size 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I crept up to a 3 once when I was thinking, do I need bigger bowls? But when it rained or if it was really hot, I struggled to know I'm a Taylor ace girl outdoor through and through. But indoor, I'll chuck anything up and hope that it gets there.
So indoor, how often do you play indoor?
No, not now. I have dabbled with indoor. Did play junior a couple of times and played a few years ago for the senior team. But unfortunately, kind of living out west, we haven't got indoor facilities near us. And, in the winter, it's just different travelling and that, isn't it? It
is, yeah.
Our nearest one, I'm proud to be a founder member of Bromyrddin, Carmarthen Indoor, still a member there. But yeah, it's just hard to commit. And to be honest, I've always quite enjoyed the break over the winter. Yeah. So, I think if there was another, we have campaigned to get an indoor in Lampeter or in Ceredigion. But so far we've failed. So I think if there was one on the doorstep, I'd definitely play more.
So the next one up for you then would be up to Radnorshire, would it?
Ammanford is kind of over an hour away from us. Carmarthen is kind of 50 minutes away. Llanelli is kind of hour and 20 minutes. So it's hard, in the winter. Yeah. In the summer, I'll travel anywhere after work. Yeah. You jump in the car, travel an hour.
When it's still light at 9 o'clock, but when it's dark at 4 o'clock, it's not so good.
You just want to go home and put the fire on. And
Do you obviously play out indoors well?
Well, I'm actually living over in Reading now.
That's where I was coming to get to.
Yeah,
now.
over on the dark side.
Because you know the size now when you're up in Lampeter.
I have dabbled a bit now the last 2 years. Played last year and kind of got a little bit of a taste for it at White Knights Indoor Bowling Club in Reading. And then this year kind of really knuckled down and really kind of, like Mum said before, if you're going to do it, do it well. If you want to do well, you need to do it and put the time in. So I have really kind of felt like I knuckled down a bit more this season and kind of we got up to the English national triples to the finals in that. So qualified out of the area.
English?
I know.
I know if you're listening in Lampeter, right?
I'm sorry, everybody.
Alice the size.
I know, but I wasn't the only one. Can I just say, Lauren Selway was there as well, so I didn't feel quite as bad. But definitely had a taste for it. And I think if there was an indoor over in the west, I think it would thrive. I definitely, love it probably a bit more. But like Mum said, when your nearest indoor club is kind of an hour at least away, it's just hard to commit. An indoor I think it's much more kind of precision. I think that's quite fair to say. I think you can't get away with things as much indoor. You've got to play. You've got to play a lot of indoor to be good at indoor.
Yeah. When we've interviewed, we had a jersey from Nick Evans, who's the short mat,
Yeah.
you know. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important. It's time that we all come together, you know. Bowls is a thing. And I said to them, if every short mat club who's getting rid of a short mat, give it to the local school, and the school bought some carpet mats, which you can pick up quite cheap, how many kids will play bowls in Wales? Because if we had a short mat in every school, and usually in a school they got a hall or something that they can roll it down and play, how good would that be?
Yeah, it'd be amazing,
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where they go on to play, whether they play short mat, indoor, outdoor, whoever they go to play for. It's just about getting kids enjoying the sport. Because you're the prime example. Started as a youngster in Lampeter, and where you gone?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Lovely. So, Reading, I don't know. What's taking you to Reading then? What's the attraction?
Oh, the other half lives in Reading, yeah.
Right,
And
okay.
unfortunately, she'll be playing for England this week up in Llandod, so it's going to be an interesting
I hope you
week.
don't throw the rink against that. That'll be a good one.
I know, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be going back to Reading at the end of the week.
Fair play, plays league in Lampeter still, and
Oh,
plays
do you?
for the county.
So I'm living in Reading, but currently, like I said, if I want to do it, I want to do it well. And at the minute, I'm travelling back to play league, county games, national comps, and playing them all out of Wales. So I'm travelling kind of 4 hours to do that. So
a lot
my
of
diesel
dedication.
bill is quite high, but at the minute it's doable, and like the days it's lighter in the evenings, and it's at the minute it's doable, and I'm doing it. So
it's our winter months, it's awful.
know, it's
and mind you, the M4 doesn't help with travelling down, does it, to Lampeter?
no.
You hit the Newport, and that's it. That comes through grinding stopped, and up at Talbot or Carmarthen.
Yeah.
Okay, I do want to talk a little bit. I know we've talked about so much, but I do want to talk a little bit because your MBE, which I'm so pleased that you've had that given to you. But it's not just for bowls, is it?
No.
It's for the work you do in cancer, and I've been affected by cancer. My brother had cancer. My sister's now terminally ill with cancer. Tell us about your work, Anwen.
Yeah, well, I've been a nurse since I left school. That's what I always wanted to do, was to be a nurse, and very proud really to have done it for so many years. But obviously worked on the wards for many years, was ward sister on an ENT ward for years, but now for over the last 10 years I've been a specialist nurse with head and neck cancer, adopted by Macmillan, and very privileged really role, very hard job, but I'm very honoured to work in a good team of dietitians, speech therapists, got an excellent consultant, Mr. Prabhu, and my colleagues Alice, Ceres and Michaela. We're only a small team, but we cover the whole of Hywel Dda, so all the way up to kind of Machynlleth, all of Ceredigion, all of Pembrokeshire, and all the way over then Carmarthenshire over to Swansea. But we're just trying, I try day to day to make just that little bit of difference for the family, but not just for the family, but for the patient, but for the family as well. For both. It's just not concentrated. We've got to make sure that the family are okay as well, because at the end of the day they're at home looking after the patient, or if there's people living alone, we go over and above to make sure that they are okay. Head and neck cancer is quite not the best cancer to have, if I'm honest, because obviously we all kind of eat and drink and socialise, it's a big part of our life, isn't it? But that is affected hugely, so I look after patients that obviously have palliative or have radiotherapy, chemotherapy, surgery, whatever, and I just want to be a part of their journey really, and make a huge difference. And over the years we've tried to concentrate as well, not just on their treatment and their short-term recovery, but what we've gone kind of the extra mile, I guess, is to kind of focus on their long-term kind of survival of cancer as well, because people forget that. And when I started this 10 years ago, to be honest, most of the patients were kind of in their 70s kind of thing, so I thought, kind of looking after the older. But now, I know I'm almost 53, but it's sad that most of the patients are younger than me.
Yeah.
So, but most of them need to, have got young families, want to get back to work and that as well. So how do we look after them and kind of help them to self-manage, to look after themselves and have a good quality of life long term? And, there are lots of, people have cancer, people, there's so many advances now, people do really well and get, have good recovery outcomes. But, you want them to have, a good quality of life long term. So how do we get them to manage all those symptoms long term? Because there are, unfortunately, a lot of long term impacts to head and neck cancer, So privileged really to do the job. So I'm just delighted that, this MBE is, like I've said with my Eisteddfod, and the Gorsedd, that was huge. But this is also massive on another scale. I'd never, ever dreamt, I've done what I love, play bowls, which I love. I've nursed, which I love. Not every day on the green or in work has been great, mind. No. But thankfully there's more good days than bad in both.
But when you deal with people who have got such an illness, a bad day on the green pales into significance.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. But it's been a great balance, I think, because when I'm in work, I forget everything about bowls, and when I'm on the bowling green, I forget everything about work. So it's been a good balance. But no, I'm just glad that this MBE has kind of been recognised for both parts of my life, because they both have a huge part of my life, isn't it? And it's for something. I both of them I love dearly, but it's great for my family, obviously, with the MBE, for mum and dad, my husband, the kids, and my wider family and friends as well.
Where are you going to go to get it? Have you,
I don't know yet. They're going to let me know in a few weeks' time, but I imagine it'll be end of the year, I've been told. So I don't know, it's either Buckingham Palace or Windsor Castle, I believe.
Are you going with Mum? Who you taking with you? How many can you take?
I'm not sure of any of the finer details at
Oh,
all.
because you got Mum?
Got Mum as well, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'll book the pub for afterwards. I'll wait outside.
No, that's a bad. If you go to the pub first, you wouldn't see them when they come back.
Yeah, no, it's just a huge thing, for bowls. I'm glad I'm raising the profile of bowls and also head and neck cancer. So both is massive.
And that was important to mention on the podcast that you've been given the MBE for both things. So that was important.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go into a couple, because I've just talked away, and without Matthew putting me back online, we got some drawing questions. They used to be driving questions, but they were so slow we called them drawing questions now. Okay, so I'm going to ask you first the question, then I'm going to ask you the same question. Yeah. So, Anwen, favourite green to play on in Wales?
Llandrindod.
I think I'd have to say the same, yeah. Llandod.
Okay. The fondest saying your mother says?
The fondest?
Yeah. What's your favourite? It can be whatever it is. What's the funniest or fondest memory you saying? Because you've got to have some sayings.
Can't think at the top of my head.
She doesn't have to say anything. She just says it with her eyes.
Look, honestly.
All right. So she don't say.
If I just look at my mum and she just gives me the eye, honestly, she doesn't need to even say anything. She just, and I know I need to buck up, you know? Honestly.
But has she got a funny saying that she says or something?
No, I can't think.
What about your mum? Has she got a funny saying that she says?
Yeah. I can't remember how it goes. What's the one that you always say? Tits out. Stand up straight. Shoulders back, tits out. Yeah, there you go.
We had a lady playing bowls with us in Lampeter, Betty Phillips. She sadly passed away now in her 90s, but she played with me and my mum for years. Oh, she was a hell of a girl. She was great fun and a very good bowler as well. But, you know, she always used to say, right, walk up the green, shoulders back, tits out.
Get on with it.
Yeah. And get on with it, like, you know. So, so that's been a bit of a funny thing.
All right, then. So, next one then. Welsh cakes or Barbrith?
Barbrith.
Oh, none. I don't like currant.
I knew that was
no wonder she went.
Chip.
No wonder she went to bloody Reading to live, wasn't it?
Chocolate chip Welsh cake.
Welsh cake.
Chocolate chip Welsh cakes. Toughest opponent?
Oh, ever probably Joe Edwards from New Zealand. We lost to them in 2002. Manchester played against her a few times, but we did beat her though in Hong Kong in the pairs 1 year. But yeah, she's just so She's so cool on the green. Just somebody I've always kind of looked up to. But of course, the other one is the legend of Betty Morgan. You know, still now, you know, if you come up against Betty, you know you've got to have your A game, or, you know,
I
she's
was
just
up in
amazing.
Radnor and I asked Betty to come on to the podcast, and there was a big discussion about that. But she, you know, I'd love to have her on because, again, she was in her time, she was probably the toughest opponent.
Toughest opponent. Apart from my brother, I'd probably say someone that I tend to come up against in draws a lot is Izzy White of Tenby.
Yeah.
Definitely a tough cookie, and I'm obviously one of my best friends, Izzy. But you know, when you play, you just got to kind of blank that out, and she's just relentless, Izzy. You just think, you know, even if you get a bit of a head start on her, you just know she's just gonna dig in and probably do it in the end. But yeah, Izzy White is probably one of my toughest
one.
Yeah.
Have you got any family traditions? What's your family traditions? Only one, because Alice can give me another one if you can think of one. Have you got one? Any Christmas traditions? Anything?
We always have a glass of sherry when we put the Christmas tree up.
There we go. Glass
My
of
husband
sherry.
gets upset if the sherry glasses aren't out.
Isn't there? No, then there's a big one on this, because we were talking in work the other day. Is it Crofts Original or Harvey's?
Harvey's.
Got to be Harvey's.
Got to be Harvey's,
Got to
yeah.
be Harvey's. She's thinking, what the hell are they on about?
I can't think of a.
We're too busy playing bowls most of the time.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure.
Okay.
No. Oh, another Christmassy one is we always go for a walk on Christmas Eve, somewhere to wear us out.
To the pub.
The kids.
The
yeah.
pub.
Well,
No, it's not the pub.
No.
It's up the hills. Isn't
No,
it?
yeah.
Have a little walk Christmas
Where
Eve.
the dog
keeps
out.
us out of the pub. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's our drawing questions. Just a bit of fun, just to break things up a little bit. And I suppose we've spoke about a lot of things now through this course of this podcast, but I think it'd be wrong if we didn't finish off by, you know, coming up this week is going to be the British Isles and the International Series next weekend, of which you are not only playing in, you are going to be a team manager.
Yeah.
What's the expectations then? Let's talk about the British Isles. I don't know who's playing. I haven't done a research into it. From the people, anybody you fancy that's going to maybe take them British Isles for Wales?
From the championships, as in from the singles pair, as in
all
the
of them.
series?
Yeah, all first of all, the British Isles championships, and then the series after, I suppose.
The championships. Oh, I mean, from kind of top to bottom. I mean, I know we've got Carl Wood and Bethan Russ playing in the singles. You know, both very capable. I know Carl is, you know, playing at the top of his game at the minute. He's just been selected for, you know, to go out to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
You know, he's definitely kind of one to watch there within the men's singles. Again, in the pairs, we lost our pairs final last year against Tracy and Lauren Gowan. You know, again, a tough pairing there. I mean, they can definitely do it. So, you know, it's going to be all on who's performing on the day. Triples.
The Welsh triple is going to win.
Oh, you know, we can, well, from the women's perspective, we can definitely do it. There's definitely a very strong mix of triples in there. We were talking about it last night. There's not a single triple in there that, you know, you kind of be like, oh, go on then, I'll play them. They're all tough.
Tactic-wise, have you decided on who's playing where yet? Or are you not going to tell me?
No, we haven't really, have we? I'm not sure what to do. Because I've always been an out-and-out lead, always been on the mat, and kind of in the last 2 years, I've gone back end a little bit more, and Mum's been on the mat a bit more, and that's how we've played. So we're not really sure what we're going to do yet.
Well, I'm sure a glass of sherry will sort it out.
And a Christmas tree.
And a
Christmas tree.
And they can put the Christmas tree up early.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, players there that can definitely, you know, on home soil, hopefully Wales will do very well, isn't it? You know, so with that home advantage and with the support, I know the weather might be a mixed, but, you know, we're all experienced enough, isn't it, to adapt. So hopefully Wales will start off well in the British Isles Championship, and that will all go well then for the series,
well,
hopefully.
when this podcast goes out, it'll be next Sunday morning.
Okay.
I think you playing on the Sunday morning.
Yeah,
against...
the men have got 2 games and the women have got 1 game on Sunday.
So by then it would be right in the mix of where you are. So the international series, have you picked on rinks yet for the women?
Yeah, so it's we start off against England with the triples and pairs because you play every country
That's
twice
right,
now. It's
yeah.
all a bit different because you've just got a squad of 16 women, 16 men. So it's all very different to kind of the 26 squad. You used to have the old internationals. But this has got, it was good last year. There was a good atmosphere and very, very competitive. A lot of hoil, it was very good. So hopefully, again, the Welsh men and ladies, obviously I'm a bit biased, but we've definitely got strong squads. It's just seeing if they can all put it together to create that performance that's needed time after time in each game to win the championship, which they have got the capability, but it's just having that belief as well.
And they are good squads, aren't they? The two squads are full now, with only being 16 and not 26, where, we got strength coming through in different age groups now, from the under 25s who are moving up and what have you. So
and we've got kind of older people coming back. It's not just about the youngsters either. We've got superb players. In the men and the women who have been about a bit of a time, but still playing at the top of their game and deserve their spot.
And rightly so. We talk about the youngsters a lot, about them having the chances, and they should have the chances. But if you're an older player and you're playing good enough, then you need, and you deserve your spot, then you should get your spot.
With Jo Wheel back in the team, she played with me in the junior team, and then, as I've said already, medalling Commonwealth Games. She's been out of the game for 20 years and has come back in and played really well and deserves a spot in the team. And Sue Davis again played juniors years ago and now is having her first cap in her kind of early 50s. So it's kind of it's for young people to come through, but again, if you're good enough, no matter what age you are, you deserve to have your spot, and hopefully they'll do well.
Okay, so come on, in prediction time, let's do the men first. Where are they going to finish?
They're going to win it.
You think they're going to win it?
Yeah, they were second. They were unlucky not to win it last year.
Yeah, I mean, last year the men, they same as the women, you could feel like they were gelling well. I think maybe, that kind of smaller vibe of a team where it's not rinks and you're playing in pairs, you've got to be calling across the rinks. It is very much team, whereas I think in the rinks before you could just be kind of tunnel vision, whereas now there's much more kind of shouting across, high-fiving, kind of urging on the pair or the triple or whatever that's going on, the singles even going on next to you. The men were very unlucky last year. I think it came down to literally like one or two matches and that didn't get them over the line. And, with Ross Owen captain, the captain for them, you're in a prime spot already with him kind of at the realm.
Just announced as number 4 in the world. Was that indoor, outdoor, indoor?
I think it's for all of them.
All 4 in the world, and we've got good bowlers, and it's not just him. You mentioned Carl Wood. I'm pretty new back into bowling. I used to bowl in Pendine years ago, and then I'm back into bowling, and I watched Carl a little bit, and he's really impressed me, to be fair. Carl, he's a cool, lovely guy, cool-headed, no panicking. You've got some really good bowlers there, so the men going to win it. That's your tip.
Yeah.
Get the bookies. What about the women?
Well, of course, I'm backing the ladies all the way, but I think we've got a big game.
What would be a good result? What would be the least you would expect? I know you're saying it's going to be the win, but if it wasn't the win, would you be happy with second?
Yes.
But
But
that they can do it.
Yeah, I know they've got the potential, and I think if we can, we haven't won for a number of years now, but it's about having a good start, and then you build momentum, don't you? If you start winning, that momentum kind of, just feeds itself, doesn't it? So we've got England first. So, if we can get a result in that first game, I think the momentum will carry us.
Who would be the strongest team? Who would you say would be the strongest team you'll play against? Scotland or England?
To be honest now, in this mix of 16, I think there's no easy game anymore. Okay. Years ago, you used to kind of count Ireland and Jersey as kind of your kind of easy games, but there's no easy games now because, the best are the best, isn't it? In a squad of 26, you can have some players that aren't maybe playing to the top end, but you've got the top end now. There's no two ways about it. So So, but England, Scotland, Ireland have got a great team. They've had, so many people coming into their teams from like Short Mat, and their team is kind of, and they've had so much money pumped in to kind of go into different test matches and whatever all over, the world. They're going to Canada, they're going, they've already been to Jersey this year. They've got a different level of money. We haven't got any of that money in Wales, unfortunately. We are fighting for it, in my team manager cap now, but we're still fighting because people need test matches, and that's how people benchmark, as we've spoken about already, and that's how people, kind of improve, definitely, for the future. But so I don't think Jersey are even an easy game anymore, But I know we've got the potential, and, the selectors have got a very hard job to pick these teams, as I've already alluded to. So, but I think it's about just having a good start. If we can beat England in the first session, we've got Jersey in the second, and then that will build momentum, hopefully, for the second game. We've got the supporters, on home soil. So I don't see, 100%. I'm not just saying it all because I'm sitting here and I've got to say Wales, but I honestly think that, our team, we've got a mix of kind of experience, as I've already said, older ones, some girls that are still in the under-25 squad, but they're playing at the top of their game. People like Jazz, they're playing so well. You've got Lauren Gowan, there's a mix there.
Well, Lauren was very unlucky in the World's Indoor one. There was one shot took her from winning that, and they were in the mixed pairs. They were so close as well.
And again, we've got Caroline Taylor, as our team captain, who's, an inspiration in herself, isn't she, and she again has been chosen to go to Malaysia, playing, top of her game. She's been playing, for many years, it was back, in the early 2000, for World Bowls and that, she medalled in 2004 World Bowls, but is playing such good bowls, this year, last year, so superb, so if she can kind of gather the team as well with me, hopefully, we'll get over the line in that first kind of session. Not if we don't do the first session, we've still got a chance, but I think it's about building momentum, and that's the same in any sport, isn't it? If you can start having a win and you just...
And the weather will have an impact on that, won't it? The weather, let's hope it stays dry. It's not typical Welsh weather. If it had been the week we've just had, it would have been perfect.
I've stopped looking at the weather now because it gets worse every time I look. But then Llandrindod can be hit and miss, isn't it? But it is what it is. We're used to playing in rain, so we'll just get on with it and hopefully have a good performance, you included.
Yes.
You better have a good one. Especially if you play the partner.
And Mangibi there, so watch out.
Oh, you'll have the stay.
I know.
You'll have the stay.
In the back of my head.
Both of you, listen, it's been great chatting to you both. Thank you, Alice, so much for travelling. Did you travel down today as well? Or
Last night, especially for this.
Especially for you. Anwen Butten MBE. Thank you. Diolch yn fawr i chi.
Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you very much.
Diolch.